With Zelda Breath of the Wild being one of the greatest games on the Nintendo Switch and the best-selling entry in the Legend of Zelda series, it's no surprise that it's getting a direct sequel rumored to be released in 2020. Besides a trailer released at E3 teasing the continuation of the story, not much is known about the much-anticipated follow-up, but that doesn't stop us dreaming about what Link's next adventure could entail. So here is our list of 6 things we want to see. While the shrines posed some fun challenges and the Divine Beast dungeons were an interesting idea, by the time we'd beat Breath of the Wild, we were still yearning for some old school dungeon action. Reintroducing them in the follow-up would keep longtime Zelda fans happy and give the development team an opportunity to get creative with new and unique puzzles. The teaser trailer does hint that the series staple could be returning, with Zelda and Link exploring an underground tomb, so it's easy to imagine that these will be an integral part of the next game. We don't want to get our hopes up, but the prospect of tackling these huge hidden labyrinths beneath Hyrule has already got us excited. Exploring the powers of the Sheikah Slate was a great way to shake up the usual formula, and worked well with each new rune gradually opening up Hyrule's more inaccessible areas. That being said, we'd still like to see the return of some classic items. Playing Link's Awakening made us realise how much we missed the rush of discovering some new gear buried deep within a dungeon, so bringing them back for the next installment is a must. Just imagine combining the hookshot with the paraglider to zip around the map with ease, or using the mirror shield to focus a Guardian's power beams to blast away obstacles. The possibilities are endless. Traversing the vast and sprawling world was a genuine thrill in Breath of the Wild, but sadly there wasn't much to do beyond searching for collectibles, giving you little impetus to explore. It looks like we'll be staying put in Hyrule for the sequel, so hopefully this means that Nintendo can build upon what they've created to bring us a richer, more engaging kingdom to interact with. As some time has passed since Calamity Ganon was defeated, we might see a land that's been restored to some of its former glory. Towns populated with side quests and interesting characters would certainly give players a reason to stray from the main adventure. Seeing Hyrule Castle rising from the ground in the trailer too might also mean we'll be venturing skyward to previously undiscovered locations. Let's just hope that there's plenty to do when we get there. Whether you were a fan of the mechanic or not, the durability of weapons played a central part in the survival aspect of the first game, and it's bound to make a return in the sequel. We got quite attached to a few swords in our inventory last time around though, and found it quite heartbreaking when they shattered midway through a battle, so our hope for this installment is that we're granted the option to repair broken or damaged ones. This way, players will still have to utilize a wide arsenal to tackle tougher enemies, but can still hold on to their prized possessions to fix later. And while we're at it, let's restore the Master Sword to its full potential. We get that Nintendo don't want you to rely too heavily on it, but we worked so hard to acquire the legendary blade, it felt like a bit of a letdown discovering it only had a finite amount of power. Compared to most other Zelda titles, Breath of the Wild had a fairly limited batch of enemy types, and soon battling them became more of a chore than the exciting bouts they started off as. Don't get us wrong, even now facing off against a Lionel is a harrowing experience, but in order to set it apart from its predecessor, this needs to introduce a more diverse range of foes. Gannondorf's resurrection will hopefully provide a whole new army of villains for Link to vanquish, and Malice, the mysterious dark substance unleashed by Calamity Ganon, could transform them into more challenging monsters further along in the game. The inclusion of more boss battles would also bring some much needed variety. Although the Blight Ganons were tough adversaries, their weak points were often too telegraphed, so some new bosses with harder flaws to exploit would be a welcome addition. Zelda took on a much more prominent and active role in the last game, compared to her usual remit as the damsel in distress. And we'd like this progression to continue by having her as a playable character. The E3 trailer certainly seems to suggest that she'll be joining Link on his quest this time around, so it wouldn't be too much of a stretch to imagine you'll take control of her during certain sections of the game, or even able to swap between the characters at will. Her different abilities and skills could enable players to reach difficult areas of the map or tackle objectives from a slightly different perspective, adding a whole new element of strategy to the gameplay. Breath of the Wild dealt with the heroine coming to terms with the fact she couldn't save Hyrule herself, so having her front and center this time around would be an interesting way to continue her arc and move the franchise forward. And if you want to read more about how a playable Zelda will change everything in the sequel, check out Matt O Keefe's article in the latest issue of Switch Player magazine.
Let's be off.
So there's our rundown of the 6 things we'd like to see in the Breath of the Wild sequel. But what about you? What do you most want to be included in the new game? Let us know in the comments below, and if this video has got you excited to delve back into the world of Zelda, why not check out our review of Link's Awakening? Thanks for watching.